Hi, welcome to another video. This is Mr. Chow from EnglishTuition.org. Now in today's video, I'm going to give some PSLE English pre-examination tips because at the time of this recording, the exam is in 2 weeks time. So maybe some of you may be feeling a bit nervous. Okay, so hopefully these tips will help you out and help calm some nerves. All right, let's get started. Here's the first essential tip. Right, prepare adequate stationery. So oftentimes when I observe my students, some of them, when they come for my lessons, they never prepare adequate stationery, right? So I end up I have to provide them, lend them my own stationery just because they do not have the pens, do not have the pencils, do not have the foolscap paper, whatever, right? So what exactly do you need to prepare? Right, I think it's good to have at least 2 pens and 2 pencils so that you have a backup. Right, and hopefully these are not pens. They are at the end of their life. They're running out of ink. So prepare new pens, right, and new pencils. Use pens that do not smudge easily. Personally, I prefer ballpoint pens, right? But I know nowadays some of the gel pens, they look pretty good as well. So if you prefer that, then of course you can use that. So just do not use poor quality pens that tend to smudge very easily, and that will just maybe destroy some of your answers. All right. And I also prefer normal 2B pencils. I recommend those instead of mechanical pencils because I always see students fiddling around with the pencils. They run out of the lead and they try to refill the lead, and then somehow the pencils come apart, and then they waste time fiddling with the pencils. Right. The 2B pencils are meant for shading the OAS. Right. The MCQs. Bring erasers for removing and correcting your shaded answers. No correction tape because it may affect the scanning. So when you shade the OAS, right, so you have all the oval like that, right? I think they will give you specific instructions on how to shade, right? Just try to shade as much as possible within the circle. So if you just a little bit out is still okay, but do not go all the way out, right? This is like cancellation. Okay, so for cancellation wise, you need the eraser to just erase the whole thing. All right, and then you shade nicely again, right, your answer. Okay, try not to be too messy. Now since it's the language paper, no calculators are allowed. So even for math paper, it only approved calculators are allowed. Right, so just don't bring any calculators for your English exam. Next essential tip, try to sleep early. What do I mean? Right, you want to stay fresh for the examination because language paper is not about just remembering words, remembering content, right? In other words, it's not just purely a memory examination. You are required to process the information, and for that to happen, you need to be fresh, right? You need to use your brain. Okay, so sleep early. Do not stay up late to play games. That's a very bad habit. Right, during the day, do not eat excessive sugar. Right, go and binge on chocolates because you are nervous. That will affect your sleep later at night. Do not overstimulate yourself with too much excitement. Right, don't go and watch a very heavy action movie, right? Or go and watch a horror movie. Or worse, right? Go and watch a horror movie, then at night you have nightmares and then you cannot sleep. Okay. And last but not least, no last minute revision. Okay. I think for the preparation of language paper, it should have happened over the weeks, over the days, over the months. So no last minute revision. Once you feel comfortable with the revision, just knock off, just go to sleep early so that you can prepare for the next day. Now you want to sleep early because you want to wake up early, right? You want to wake up slightly earlier so that you are not in a rush. I think 15 to 30 minutes earlier. Have a light breakfast. I do not recommend empty stomach because having an empty stomach may affect your focus. So just have a light breakfast, all right? And leave home slightly earlier in case of unforeseen circumstances such as traffic jams, MRT breakdowns, etc., etc. So it's always good to be slightly early, right? Just arrive earlier so that you have the time to relax and calm yourself down before the actual paper, and you are not in a rush and you're don't arrive at the school exam hall and then you are setting buckets okay, and then you go sit for the exam. That may affect your focus as well. You want to be even your sweating, right? When you reach a school exam hall, you have the time, you can just clean yourself up, go and wash your face, and prepare yourself, right, for the paper. Next, check the essential items. You want to check the items the night before if possible. So what do I mean? What are these items? These are like your student identification, proof of entry, and all your required stationery, which I already mentioned. Right, handphones are not necessary, so for those who bring them, they will be collected and returned for those who have the handphones, right? If not, you just proceed to the exam hall. Essential tip number 5. All right, go to your seat calmly. So just check your seat number and be seated when when you're allowed to do so. Only approved items such as stationery can be brought into the exam hall. Bags are usually left outside. So I think you already know all this, so this is just like a gentle reminder. Essential tip number 6. Do not start the paper until instructions are given, right? So when they distribute the papers, do not even attempt to pick at the questions. Wait patiently for instructions and follow the instructions, all right? Essential tip number 7, read the questions carefully and do not rush, right? The key word here, do not rush, okay? You have plenty of time, right? Students are given ample time to complete the paper. There is more than enough, I repeat, there's more than enough time for checking again, and to complete the paper, so do not rush, okay? Essential tip number 8, skip the hard questions to save time, right? Sometimes even during the front part of grammar MCQ or vocabulary, you may face 1 or 2 hard questions. Do not get hung up and spend like 10 minutes, 15 minutes in trying to figure out the answer. Skip those questions to save time. You can always go back later, right? So what I recommend is to make a small annotation so that you do not forget to go back to those questions later, okay? And finally, do not leave blanks, right? I have students with a bad habit. They don't know how to do, they don't even try, and they leave blanks, right? If you leave blank, then it's a guarantee, it's a 0 mark. You don't have a chance to score that mark. You want to have at least 0.1% chance better than 0, right? 1% chance better than 0. So do not leave blanks. Try to fill in all the blanks, okay, with possible answers. Essential tip number 9. Do your working. Okay, this is a step that many students do not like to do because it requires them to put a bit more effort. So how do you arrive at your answer? The examiners want to know. But most importantly, you want to convince yourself that you have arrived at a confident answer. Okay, so how do you arrive at your answer? Where are the clues? Where are the verbs that show you the tenses, etc., etc.? So do your working for all the sections, starting from the grammar MCQ to the comprehension passage. Comprehension passage, what are you supposed to do again? You're supposed to annotate, right? You're supposed to analyze the text, right? So you have your pencils, remember? So you just use your pencils to do some light annotations. And when you work on the questions, you can easily find the answers, all right? This will help reduce careless mistakes. And careless mistakes will cost you a lot of marks, okay? We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Essential tip number 10. Right, now you are near the end of the paper. You know, the invigilator is going to say, right, thumbs up, hands down, right? But before the end of the paper, usually students finish their paper way earlier than the allocated time. So what do? Check through your work, right? Finish early, don't daydream, check your work. Check for careless mistakes because those careless mistakes can account for up to 10 marks or more, right? And depending on which band you are at, AL 4, AL 5, AL 6, it can account for 1 to 2 grades, right? That's pretty, I think, worth the effort, right? To go and check your careless mistakes and save yourself some marks, and that can move you up by a grade or 2, okay? So simple mistakes such as subject verb agreement, spelling, punctuation, etc. should not be made. Even things like capitalization, all right? Spelling, when I say spelling, you check for the sentence synthesis. Some students, when they copy the words, they copy wrongly, right? So those are the mistakes that you should not make, right? You have finished, but you have time. So make full use of the time to check, right? So you finish checking, right? And you still have time. Then what do? Check again, right? Nobody is limiting you, right? Nobody is saying, oh, it's a rule, there's a hard limit. You cannot check more than 2 times. You cannot check more than 3 times. There are no such rules, okay? You can check up to 5 times, 10 times. If you have the time, check. It is to your own benefit, all right? So with that said, I've come to the end of the video. I wish you the best of luck, all the best. And oh, and don't forget to write your name, right, and your index number. I think it's index number. That's the most important identification for your paper before you hand in. And yeah, I wish you good luck once again. Thanks for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Okay, bye bye.